Very good morning all and welcome to today's session. Thanks for joining us for today's webinar. People are joining with us. We are waiting for few more people to join. The webinar is going to start very shortly. Kindly hold on for a few minutes. Thank you. Once again, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us for today's webinar. I am Nivedha from Relativity Management Solutions India Private Limited. I would like to introduce Mrs. Geeta Murugan to talk about relativity. Ms. Geeta Murugan is Associate Vice President and handling business development team at Relativity over 10 years now. It's over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Nivedha. Good morning, all. It's good to connect via this webinar. Today, this session is going to be on form-16, as you all know. Before that, I'll take 2 minutes of time for explaining about what we do and what specialization we actually have. Our mission is to be a world-class payroll and compliance provider where we wanted to be very reliable, consistent, and client-centric for SMEs and corporates that we work with at an affordable cost. Our vision is to be most respected and renowned firm in the HR and finance domain. We wanted to give unmatched quality and best-in-class support in our services. Our effectiveness is to be beyond your expectations. This is our vision. And we are working as a team very hard for achieving these things. These are our verticals: payroll services, statutory compliances, tax compliances, accounting, and digital form 16. Along with this, we do all type of consultation in all the services that is listed here. Our functional expertise consists of HR consultant, payroll specialist, compliance specialist, taxation experts, labor law advocates, and audit practitioners. These are our functional expertise with whom we rely upon the respective expertise, and we work for clients. These are some of the interesting facts about relativity. We are 14 years in this industry and we are counting 185 plus clients as of now. And we process 12 lakh of transaction per quarter. We maintain an accuracy of 99.5% of accuracy rate in whatever we deliver. And major 16 cities we work in India. Form 16, we issue 4.76 lakh of Form 16s every year, and 99.9% is our client retention rate. I would say this very proudly because clients stay with us for the services that we provide, the quality of services and the client delight that we provide. This is the result of it, and 99.9% of client retention is that we maintain. Over to you, Nivedha.
Thank you, ma'am. And I like to introduce today's presenter, Ms. Padma Jyoti. She is leading the team of payroll and taxation at Relativity over 13 years now. She is an enthusiastic human being interested in change initiative and diversity at work. It's time to start our webinar. Let's start and over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Niveda, for your introduction. Once again, good morning to everyone. I am welcoming you all for this webinar on things to be concentrated on Form 16 issuance. As you are aware, this is the period where which we will share the Form 16 to everyone. And we also provide what are the things that you have to be particularly concentrate so we can ensure that Form 16 is accurate to the employees. Because if you take for the payroll, the whole year we will work from the April to March. But at the end of the year, if we made any, if there was any glitches or any mistakes which has happened in the Form 16, then it will disappoint the employee experience that whatever that we have provided for the whole year. So in this webinar today, what we are going to see about is from the basics that we are going to look on, why we are going to issue the Form 16, what we have to issue, when we have to issue, if there are anything, if we fail to compliance, if there is a non-compliance, what will be the impact. So we'll go through the basics of the Form 16s, and we are going and we are going to discuss what are all items that we have to be concentrated. So that items may be before the filing or after the filing, while preparing the filing reports or while issuing the Form 16. So what are the major items we have to concentrate, and how we can avoid the how we can ensure the accuracy in the Form 16 activity. And finally, we are having a Q&A session. In between, if you have any questions, please put it in the chat box. At the end of the in Q&A session, we will discuss all the questions in detail. Okay, so before let's start into go into detail. Let's speak about the some basics. So what is meant by Form 16? So here the Form 16 means there should be an employer and employee relationship between the two parties. If that is there, then for the whole year we are processing the salary, right? That details of the salary and details of whatever the TDS that we have deducted from that particular employee, that has to be included in the Form 16. So this is just a document that is issued by the employer to all the employees whom they have deducted TDS, that is mandatory, and for others that is an optional. This just a certificate that we will issue to everyone. So this certificate will have different types of forms, and it particularly will have employer and employee informations and details of the salary which has been paid for the financial year for the period April 22 to March 23. That will be issued in this financial year before June 15 that we have to issue. And also it will contains the details of the amount, whatever the TDS that we have deducted from the employee also will be reflected in the Form 16. So when we have to issue the Form 16? So due date for issuing the Form 16 is 15th of June, and filing of the quarterly returns is 31st of May. So before 15th of June, we have to issue the Form 16 to all the employees. Either we can issue via email or we can put it in the post it in the employee service portal. The mode may be different, but we have to send the employee has to get the Form 16 on or before 15th of June. This is a compliance due date. If we fail to issue the Form 16, then what will be the impact? Okay, as per the Income Tax Act, as per the Section 272A, if employer fails to issue a Form 16 within the timeline, then there will be a default of rupees 500 will be charged until we are issuing the certificate. So if currently there is no systematic process to initiate these kind of defaults, but if the department comes to know and they find it out that certificate have been issued delay, then they will charge a penalty from the date of from the due date till the date that we have issued. So for per day 500 rupees will be charged. And also in the previous years, from traces, most of the deductors who haven't downloaded the form 16 on the due date, like form 16 that we will download it from the traces, right? That part A and part B, everything. So we have to place the request. So what they are doing is, if any deductor who doesn't place any request for the form 16 or 16A, they are sending out the notifications why you haven't downloaded within the timeline. These kind of email that we have received in the past year. So this year there may be some changes that may could happen. Traces department also is seriously watching whether all the deductors are requesting the necessary certificates in the traces or not within the timeline. So in future there may be a chances they will come out with some plans, and if there was any delay and they find it out, they may raise a demand automatically. So to avoid this, we are suggesting you to file the returns as early as possible so that you can able to issue the form 16 on time. And next item is what are the forms which we are having in the form 16. So form 16 is one certificate which contains of different forms. It have a five different forms that we will collate, and we will issue it under the form 16, issue it as a form 16. So first one is a part A and part B, form 12BA, 12BB, and annexure to form 16. Here in part A, what and all details will be there, no? It will contains the details of the income that is paid by the employer to that particular employee, and the details of tax deducted for that particular employee also it will be there. So month wise the data will be reflected, and in part A only the income and TDS deducted value will be reflected, and this document will be generated based upon the quarterly returns what we have filed for this financial year, because for Q1, Q2, Q3 we have filed earlier itself, and Q4 we are going to file that maybe we are going to do in this month of May. Some people may have done it already, but this part A will contains the consolidated data of the 4 quarters, and it will reflect what is the income that we have deducted and what is the income that we have paid and what is the TDS that has been deducted from that particular employee. And it will also contains the details of the challan which we have utilized for the payment, under which challans the TDS have been paid. So these are the informations that part A will have. And in part B, if you see, part B will have the detailed computation of how we have derived the gross salary. What is the gross salary? From that, what are all exemptions that we have provided to that particular employee? Whether that employees belong to which type of tax regime. So all this calculation part will be reflected in the part B of the form 16. So this part B also is one of the document which is automatically generated from the traces based upon the filing which we have done in the Q4. We are going to see what and all details that we will file in Q4 and how we ensure the accuracy in later part. So this part B will contain the details of the tax computation, the overall for that individual, how we have calculated the taxes. So that is the information this document will contain. And the next one is the form 12BA. So form 12BA will contains the breakup of the non-monetary benefits that have been provided by the employer to the employee. So here the non-monetary benefits means like food coupons will be there, and interest-free loans, or if there was any accommodation have been provided, that will come under the non-monetary benefits. And the next one is that employer contribution more than 7.5 lakhs also will come under the form 12BA. In that breakup, it will have all the informations about the non-monetary benefits. So this form is a mandatory one that we have to issue to everybody, so that in this form the employee can able to see what kind of non-monetary benefits that we have received in the past in the financial year. And in this form 12BA also there will be one value that will be mentioned, what is the TDS that has been deducted from the employee. So whatever TDS have been deducted from the employee, the total value will be mentioned in form 12BA also. Form 12BB is the form which contains the details of the investments and declared by the employee, and the proof submitted by the employee. That particular financial year will be there. And the next one is the annexure to Form 16. This is not a mandate form; it's an optional. But in this annexure, as a best practice, we are recommending to issue the annexure to Form 16 because provide the salary breakup. Because if you see in Part B, we will just mention gross salary under Section 17 of 1, gross salary under Section 17 of 2, and 17 of 3, like that it will be there. And for 17 of 2 non-monetary benefits, the breakup is reflecting in Form 12BA. But for the 17 of 1, the gross salary, there is no breakup will be the salary breakup component wise, the amount paid breakup will not be reflected anywhere in the Part B. So it has to be shared in annexure to Form 16. As a best practice, we are recommending you to share the annexure to Form 16 to all the employees, because while filing the individual returns for certain peoples, who are all using ITR 2 for their individual filing, they have to report the exemption section wise breakup. So if they put income also in a section wise breakup only, they can able to claim the exemption. So it's recommended, and it will give a best employee experience to ensure their compliance activity. And also it will reduce the most of the queries from your end, so that employees are aware of the what is the breakup and other stuffs. So these are the forms which contains in the Form 16, and every form is mandate that we have to issue to everyone. Annexure to Form 16 is the only thing which is an optional that can be done it has to be done as a best practice. Most of the companies, they are doing it. And next one is from where we are generating this Form 16. We have seen what are the various parts of the various forms in the Form 16s, from where we have to generate the same. So if you take, there are certain forms that we can download it from traces, and there are certain forms which we have to download it from the payroll software, or we have to download it we have to generate it manually. So these things are there. Part A and Part B, by default, we have to download it from traces. If we are generating from the payroll software, then it's not a valid document. It has been instructed by the department that these two forms has to be downloaded from the traces websites only. Other than that, whatever form, in which format that we are issuing, if it is not downloaded from the traces, then it will be treated as an invalid document. So please generate the these two documents downloaded from the traces. Then the other three documents like Form 12BA, Form 12BB, and annexure to Form 16. These three set of documents that you have to download it from the payroll software, or you have to generate it from your payroll software. In that payroll software, please check whether the Form 12BA templates are aligned. And while compared to the last year to this year, there is no change in the Form 16 templates. The same templates have been used. The Part A and Part B, by default, it will be generated from the traces. And in the Form 12BA, there is no updation have been provided. So we can use the same format which has been followed for the financial year 21-23. And next thing is, to whom and all we have to issue the Form 16. So whether I have to issue the Form 16 all the people, or is there an option that I can do it? So is there any possibility that I can avoid for some employees and I can issue it for some employees? So first thing is, there is a mandate, there is an optional, and there is a thing called best practice. So first we will see what is the mandate. Okay, for the employees to whom the gross salary is more than taxable limit. For example, if for an employee whose salary who's getting a gross salary as 4 lakh, then for that particular cases, it is mandate to issue the Form 16 because their gross salary is more than the taxable limit. If you see in the past year, for the financial year 22-23, the minimum slab 2.5 to 5 will, and up to 2.5 lakhs, there is no taxable. After that, it comes into the taxable bracket. So for employees who are all earning more than the taxable limit, it is mandate to issue the Form 16, and it's optional for the employees who are earning less than the taxable limit. But also it's an optional, but we would recommend you to issue the Form 16 for all the employees, irrespective whether the salary is more, whether the gross salary is more than taxable limit or not. Because in certain cases they might be work with your organization for 1 or 2 months, but they might work in other organizations also. So on the whole aspect, they will comes under the taxable slab. So it's best to issue the form 16 for all the employees. And next thing is, as I said earlier, to issue the annexure to form 16, it's a best practice, and it will reduce the employee queries after issuing the form 16, and also it will lead the employee experience for filing their IT returns, because whatever documents that we are going to issue in form 16, based on that only individual is going to undertake the IT returns of their individual tax returns. So if we provide all the informations in the all the informations to them, then it will be easier to them to undertake the IT filing activity. Otherwise, they will come back to you and they will ask for additional informations. Then it will there will be more employee queries will be there. You have to answer everything. So to avoid this, it's better to issue the form 16 to annexure to form 16 to all employees. And to whom the employees who doesn't have a PAN number, for them we cannot able to issue the form 16, because as in filing, in reporting also, if we mention PAN not available in filing, if I'm mentioning the PAN not available and I am deducting at the higher rate also, the system will not generate the form 16, because based on the PAN only the system is generating the form 16 and it is sharing and it's getting downloaded. So if employee doesn't have a PAN number, then we cannot able to issue the form 16. So these are the people for as per our advice, we will recommend you to issue the form 16 to all the employees, irrespective whether they are comes under the taxable limit or not. And next thing is, as we have seen from where what are the forms is there, from where we have to generate, and to whom and all we have to issue, like that. So how we can ensure the accuracy of a form 16? So if I have to ensure the form 16 has to be, if I want to give accurate form 16 to the employees, then what I have to take, what step I have to do? What I have to do is only one thing: the data reported in QTDS filing has to be 100% accurate. If there was any mismatches or any credits or something have been happened, if some reporting is happened incorrectly, then the same will reflect on the form 16 also. So to issue the form 16, if we see to ensure it is to be more accurate, then we should have concentrated more on the reporting in the reporting. So that is in QTDS filing, while filing the returns, we have to be check each and every fields whether it has been done appropriately, whether it has been mapped correctly, whether the income has been reported correctly. So every fields we have to check, and we have to ensure whether it is 100% correct or not. Based upon the data which we have reported in filing, the data will be reflected in the form 16. So if there was anything, any data which is mistaken, which is wrong in the form 16, then we have to do the necessary corrections before issuing the form 16 to the employee. So next we are going to see about what and all things that I have to be things to be done before issuing the form 16. While I'm doing the planning of this activity, what and all items I have to be concentrated, what and all things that I have to undertake. So those things that we are going to be discussed now. So first thing is the headcount reconciliations. So for this period from the April 22 to March 23, please do the headcount reconciliation and find and prepare a master list of employees to whom and all you have to issue the form 16. Based upon this master, please we can able to check whether we have issued or not issued, in which status is that, why we are not able to issue. So like that we can track it. Otherwise it will be sometimes it will go into the mess. For example, if it is for the 5,000 plus headcount companies, if they doesn't have the master list, then they don't know to whom and all they have issued or not. So the basic important thing is master list of employees to whom we have to issue the form 16. And next thing is a TDS audit. Here the TDS audit means the reporting which we have done in the previous quarters, whether have been matched with the payroll records or not. because from the payroll, based on the payroll records, we have done the QTDS filing, right? It's better to re-ensure once again before issuing the form 16 whether this activity, whether this data is correct or not. If it is, if there was any mismatches or if there was any additions has to be done, then undertake the necessary correction filing returns. So that is one item that we have to do it. And next one is the Q4 returns. Q4 returns filing, most of the people know at the end of the moment, if we are filing the returns in 31st or 29th May, sometime, most of the times traces will process the filing after 8th or 9th. So then we will have a very short period to generate the form 16s and put the digital signature, and we have to issue the same to the employees, right? So it's better to file the returns earlier so that you can, the returns will be processed earlier itself. You can download the form 16 as early as possible. And if you want to do any corrections also, you can undertake. There will be a timelines. So there will be a time to do necessary changes or whatever major changes if you have also, you can able to do it. Sorry. Or else, and also while filing the returns, please ensure whether the values that you are filling is 100% correct. In filing the returns, what and all things that we have to concentrate, I have a separate slide that I will share you what and all things that you have to concentrate and what and all things that you have to make sure whether it is right or wrong. And next thing is, after filing the Q4 returns, the returns are already processed, and you also downloaded the form 16 from the traces. And in that situation also, you have to undertake the form 16 audit. Sometimes in tedious audit, we may not find out all the issues because that we are checking from Q1 to Q3 only. For the whole year, the full data will be reflected in the form 16. So in form 6, after generating the form 16, please check whether all the information that has been reported in the form 16 is matching with the payroll records or not. If it is matched, then it is fine. Okay, you can issue the form 16 to your employees. If there was any mismatches have been file the correction returns, and the correction returns has to be processed. And after that, regenerate the form 16 and then issue it to the employees. And next one is signing authority DSC validation. Sometimes we forgot because the DSC validity is too important, because to issue the form 16, if I'm generating it on today that signature has to be valid. Most of the times we will do all these activities and forgot about the DSC, and which will have a huge impact. Please check the signing authorities DSC validation till which date, whether it is validity or not. If it is going to be expired, renew it as early as possible so that you can avoid that issue in the you can avoid the invalid signatures at the time of later. And next one is, you have to think in which mode I'm going to issue the form 16, whether I'm going to issue it via email or employee self-service portal. So this and all we have to decide it earlier before we filing the returns. And we have, as I said earlier, we have to do the necessary correction filings before filing the Q4 returns also. Sometimes correction filing also, they will put it in the hold while we are doing it in the end of May or first week of June. So as early as possible, file the returns before 20th, before 25th at least, so that there will be enough time that traces will process. And if there was something is hold also, they will process between 5th or 6th. So the timeline will be reduced. Don't go until the last moment of the due date. So these are the items which has to be done for the form 16 issuance, and take this as a separate activity and do this item so that you can ensure the accuracy in the form 16. So employee will have a better experience on that. And next one is for issuing accurate form 16, what and all things that we have to concentrate, what are the items that I have to detail. So that items we are going to discuss it now. So first one is a headcount validation. So headcount validation means here, first I have prepared master list, right? First I have to check whether all the employees are added in Annexure 2. employees whoever inactive, for them are active plus relief, and for certain cases I will have done the resettlements, I have issued the bond, I have paid the bonus, for include all the employees in annexure 2. First check that one thing. And next thing is, employees who are all added in annexure 2 or have to be reported in the annexure 1 also. So these two details have to be matched. If for example I have added Mr. A in annexure 1 but I have not included in annexure 2 also, then I will not get the respective form. If I want both part A and part B, I have to include the employees in both annexure 1 and annexure 2. So I have used the term annexure 1 and annexure 2 repeatedly. I will tell what is annexure 1 and what is annexure 2. Annexure 1 is the quarterly, month-wise we are reporting, right? That income and TDS deducted details. That is what we will term as annexure 1. As per the in ETDS filing, it will be termed as annexure 1. That income and TDS report, TDS deducted details, that every quarter we will do it. Annexure 2 is a whole tax computation that we will report, whether the employee have chosen which kind of regime and what is their gross salary and what are all exemptions that we have reported and what is the tax liability for them and what is the tax have been deducted for that particular employee. So that full tax computation that we are reporting and filing, right, that is what we will term as a annexure 2. So annexure 2 line entry count has to be matched with the master list of employees. For example, in the master list of employees, if I'm having 2,500 employees, then for those all 2,500 employees, I have to file the annexure 2 to issue the form 16. Otherwise, the form 16 will not be generated. If I missed either one, if I missed annexure 1, then I will not get part A. If I missed annexure 2, then I will not get part B. So it will not be generated from the system. So to issue all the forms, and we have to download it from the traces. We know that has to be generated from the traces, and we have to issue it to the employee. To match the headcount, this headcount validation is too important. While filing the Q4 returns, please ensure whether all employees you have added in annexure 2 and for them also you have included the annexure 1 reporting. So this will avoid most of the missing form 16. Sometimes we will miss, there was form 16 will be shortage and all will be there. No? So that will be addressed because of, if we do this validation, that headcount will be addressed. So we can generate the form 16 for all the employees. And next one is a income reporting in annexure 1. So every quarter we are reporting the income. So in that income, what and all I have to add it, what and all I have to exclude it. That we are going to see. So as per the income tax that circulars and the guidelines that they have provided to file the annexure 1, right? They have clearly mentioned that gross salary under section has to be reported as an income in annexure 1. So it is, they have clearly mentioned that the perquisite also we have to report it in annexure 1. And if we are paying any salary which is out of the payroll also we have to include. It's a put together, that whole 17, what is the gross salary that employee have got for that financial year has to be reported as an income in annexure 1. That is one. And in perquisites, we will get confused whether I have to include taxable value or whether I have to include the exempted, the full value of perquisite. So here we have to include only the taxable value of the perquisites in filing. For example, we will take one generic case: interest on the concessional loans. For example, if for that the benefit is 5,000 rupees is a benefit that employee got it as a non-monetary. From that 5,000, if you are recovered 2,000 from the employee, then the balance 2,000 is only taxable. That value only we have to report it in the annexure 1 as an income. Like the same, if you take it for senior management people in certain companies, they will provide the driver's salary, they will provide gardener, every servant, personal assistant and all they will provide, and the company will take care of the expenses. They will pay the salary to them. So that, for example, if I'm having a gardener and the employer is paying 10,000 as a monthly salary to them, that 10,000 is a non-monetary benefit for me. So in that 10,000, if I am repaying to my company as a 5,000, 5,000 if I am repaying to the company, then the balance 5,000 is only taxable, right? That value only we have to report it in the filing. So only the taxable value of perquisites has to be reported in filing. Non-taxable value, it is not required to be reported. So if we reported any non-taxable value, please adjust that value and do the necessary corrections. Like the same way as I mentioned for perquisite, the same way for the reimbursement also. There will be certain companies will have a multiple benefits, and they will provide the benefits before getting the bill. For example, in FBP and all, every month we will pay the tax, telephone or VOE something. What under components that we have, we will pay it on a monthly basis, and the proof that we will collect either on a quarterly or on a yearly basis. So if we are getting it on a year, if the employee doesn't submit the bills for the whole value, there will be certain amount that will be get taxed, right? Only that taxable value has to be added as an income in annexure 1. So we check how you are reporting the annexure 1 income, what component and all you are adding. If the components, if you are adding which is non-taxable, please avoid it. Exclude that component and report the income, which is only the taxable income has to be reported in the annexure 1. And next one is annexure 2 reporting. So in annexure 2 reporting, what are all items that you have to concentrate? First thing is the previous employment income. The previous employment income and the TDS which has been deducted from the previous employer has to be reported separately. There is a separate column. We have to report it under the separate field. Otherwise, the Part A and Part B income, if you are adding it to the gross salary itself, then the income will not get matched. Then the employee will have the query why it's not getting the match. So if we are getting previous employer income, please report under the separate the field which has been provided to report the values. And next thing is there should not be any tax payable. While we have to deduct all the taxes in the month of March, right? So if there are any tax payable, with the tax payable, if you are filing the returns, then there is a possibility, there is 100% assurance that we will get a demand. After that, we have to undertake the any corrections. So it's better while filing the returns itself, please check whether you had a tax payable line entries. If there is a tax payable line entries, please check what has to be done. If there wasn't any recovery that has to be done from the employee, please do it and file the returns without the tax payables. And the next thing is this in previous years there is an option for every for the there is an option that we have to report landlord PAN number in the QTDS filing. So if an employee had two landlords, which PAN number I have to include? Whether I can include one PAN number and I can exclude the other PAN number, are the multiple questions that we have. But if they have a multiple landlords, then we have to report the PAN of the all landlords. Otherwise, what is happening? No, if I am tagging the in QTS reporting, I am tagging one PAN number as their landlord, and also I am providing the HRA exemption. In the landlord's AAS, the whole exemption value is reported as a income. It's coming as an income there. So then also, if we miss to report one or two landlords PAN number, then the whole exemption value reflect for the one landlord, and it will create unnecessary confusions for them. Then they will reach out to the employees, and employee will come back to you, and you have to file the correction returns for that. If they have multiple landlords, report all the landlords PAN number in the filing. It's a mandatory thing. Please don't limit. It's if employee whose HRA exemption is more than 1 lakh, for them it should be there. PAN number is a mandatory field for those employees. Please report the PAN of the landlord for those line entries. And if they have a multiple landlord, please report all the landlords PAN number there. And next thing is a loss from the house property. There is a column for income from house property. If it is a loss, please mention it as a loss with the negative symbol. If you have not mentioned in the negative symbol, and then it will be considered as a income. So some in reports and all, most of the times we will get it as a income or loss from the property move. Sometimes we will get that self-occupied loss as a positive value, because in the formula that we have, it may get adjusted, but in reporting we have to mention it under the negative only. Please ensure whether for all the losses you have mentioned the negative symbol or not. That is one of the major mistakes that we are seen in the past years. So I just want to highlight in this. And the same cases for the multiple lender PAN. Lender PAN also, if they have multiple PAN numbers, please report all the PAN numbers that employee have. Otherwise, they will have unnecessary confusions. There will be some back-end work will go on. The employer, the department will check with the lenders in the upcoming years. So report what and all lender PAN numbers that you are having. There will be a maximum field up to 4 PAN numbers that we can upload. So if you have 4 lender PAN numbers, please update the lender PAN numbers as well. And next one is ensure you have filled details in the respective column. If you have you have misplaced the column, then it will be then in the calculations, the recalculation which is done by the department, in that there may be some additional tax liability will get raised. So please ensure whether you are filling the exact column like that. So most of the time this confusion will happen in the section 16. So section 16, there was 3 columns will be there: entertainment allowance, PT, and standard deduction. Ensure you have filled PT in the PT section, and standard deduction in the standard deduction, and entertainment allowance, which is not applicable for the private sector employees, and which is applicable only for the public sector employees. So in this, most of the times we have seen in this area, we will get many confusions. So please ensure these columns have been filled appropriately or not. And next thing is the tax regime. So from the past 3 years, the tax regime plays a major role here. Most of the people are choosing for the new tax regime. Report the tax regime appropriately and file the return. Sometimes we will fill everything correctly and we will fill the tax regime as a wrong. So if we mention the tax regime for old tax regime people, if I mention the new tax regime, then the calculation done by the department after filing the returns, it went out wrong, because they will not consider any exemptions like that. So please ensure whether you have filled the tax regimes has been updated appropriately or not. So these are the items that you have to ensure and check while filling the annexure 2. And next thing is the reconciliations between annexure 1 and annexure 2. So what and all values has to be matched between these 2 filings is, one is gross salary and the other one is the TDS. These 2 has to be mandatorily matched. Whatever income that you have reported in Q1, in annexure 1 for the quarter Q1 to Q4, that has to be matched with the gross salary which is mentioned under the section 17. If there is a mismatch, then employee may get confused, and also in the breakup it is not aware, and department also will raise many questions why it is not getting matched. In annexure 1, if you are mentioning as a 20 lakhs, and in annexure 2, if you are mentioning 17 lakhs as a gross salary, for this differences, employees are getting notifications and they want to correct it. They have to provide the necessary clarifications to the department. To ensure the better employee experience and to avoid many queries, it's recommended to match the gross salary under the 70 with the annexure 1 income reported. Like the same way, the TDS also has to be matched in month on month. TDS reported in Q1 to Q4 has to be matched with the TDS deducted by the current employer field, which is reported in the annexure 2. So this reconciliation is most important, and it has to be done before filing the returns. Otherwise, there will be some deviations will happen in the form 16. So these are the items that I want to highlight and I want to concentrate. And also I have to tell you one thing. we are taking care of this activity from the last year, and if you have anything in the digitalization of form 16, and if you want to get any help of the filing of returns, the QTDS of returns, Relativity is doing this kind of services, you can reach out to us. So next is a Q&A session. Before that, I run a this is just a feedback poll for regarding this webinar. Please provide your feedback. So based on that, we can able to decide whether we need to do any changes or not in the upcoming webinars. Your responses is too important for us. If you have any questions, please put it in the chat box also. So I receive a question from Mr. Manjuna, the penalty of INR 500 per day per employee or INR 500 irrespective number of employees. It is irrespective of number of employees because this is a compliance which have been provided as per the section 203. If we fail to do that, then we have to pay 500 rupees as penalty every day until we are going to issue the form 16. And also he had another question whether Form 12B and Annexure 2 Part B should be issued to new tax regime opted employees. Annexure 2 Part B is not required. If we are going to issue, then I think we can give a standardized for all the employees. If we are going to do for new tax regime, I will not share. For then no, there will be the separate discomfort will be there, then we have to do a lot of items. So it's better to issue to all the employees, and it's not mandate. It's a best practice. We can issue to everyone. Whether 17 of 3 profits in lieu of salary also to be reported in Annexure 1. Yes, Manjunath, we have to report 17 of 3 also in Annexure 1. Then only it will get matched with the gross salary. Then only it will get matched with the gross salary in the Annexure 2. Otherwise, it will not get matched. ESOP liquidation. ESOP perquisites, the stock option perquisites, if we are providing to your employees, then for those those non-monetary benefits, whatever the perquisite value that we have derived, right, that also has to be reported in the Form 12BA, and the same has to be reported in the filing also. And next question I received. Next question is, if an employee is absconding, do we have to issue the Form 16? For the absconding employees also, please generate and have it for your reference. If you can able to reach out to them, do it, because this is a compliance activity from the employer end, and department doesn't say whether for absconding employees we cannot issue like that. There is no classes. It's better to issue the Form 16 for the absconding employees also for whatever period that they have been worked. I missed the due date of issuance Form 16. Please share again. The Form 16 for the financial year 22-23 has to be issued on or before 15th June 23. So if you have any questions, please put it in the chat box. Still we have 10 more minutes. And I also want to cover one thing. There is a change in the RPO version. While filing the returns, please ensure that you have filed with the latest RPO version, because most of the time that RPO version will get changed, and it will be make updated every time. So before filing your returns, please check whether the RPO version is aligned with the latest version, so that you can able to ensure the this rejection while filing the returns in 10FC. Who can issue Form 16 in terms of authorized finance head, director, or HR head? Actually, Mr. Ajay Kotari, what is not that person who is responsible to issue the Form 16 for the organization, they only can sign it, right? Even if for them also, they itself can sign it. There is no another person has to sign it, because that is a position, that is the authorized signatory, and they have to sign for all the documents issued on to issued authorized signatory to issue to sign the documents on Form 16, irrespective whether for them or not. So they can self sign it. There is no separate person has to do it once again. Thanks, Rajeshwari, for your feedback. And if you want to, if you want the video recordings, please put your email ID here. I think Niveta has already shared. What if there is tax liability rising in case of absconding employee? For absconding employee, if there was, there should be, is there any recovery that you have done later, or if there was any payment is pending from your end, no, please adjust with that and make it as a nil tedious deduction. In some cases, there will be leave encashment has to be, we have to pay, right? So prepare the FST and ensure that tax payable and the net payment should be 0, and make sure that TDS will come also in the without tax payable. Any resolutions? Questions? Any resolutions or authority letter to be given to such employee so he can sign on 16? Yeah, in the company document itself, there will be some authorization that we will provide, right? That documentation, if we maintain that itself, fine. There is no separate document has to be done. Based upon the roles also, you can categorize based upon the people. For this people is eligible for to assign all the documents, legal documents of the organization, that you can do it. And next one, I got one question. In case of rent, if employee submits landlord's Aadhaar, is there a provision to add an annexure to? Landlord Aadhaar number, there is no provision. Only PAN number has to be reported. And it is also for the employees who's paying rent more than 1 lakh per year. If they are paying more than 1 lakh, then PAN number is mandatory. Otherwise, Aadhaar we cannot add it. There is no option in the annexure to add. I think still 5 more minutes are there. If you have any questions, please put it in the chat box. I'm happy to answer the questions. I think if we don't have any questions, I think we can close our webinar. Thank you for your valuable time, and I think thank you for your valuable time and questions. If you have any questions till now, we will wait for 4 minutes and we will close the webinar. Do we have to pay the penalty voluntarily if we have issued after the due date? Currently, it is not have been. No, ma'am. No, it is not mandatory and it is not voluntary also. But there is an option and there is a penalty for non-compliance. But as of now, the department is not looking that much clear on this aspect, whether we have issued the Form 16 or not within the due date. But there may be a chances in previous year we have received certain communication from the department that you haven't downloaded the Form 16 within the timeline. So there may be a chances for this year they will come out like the same way that this happened in the last year. And if we now provide any valid reasons or any substantiates reason why we have not issued, then there may be a chances that department will raise the penalty for that. And also, if we are sending Form 16s via email, no, that email backup copy will also require that we have issued the Form 16 on this particular date. And take that backup copy and have it as a separate folder. So in future, if there was any request, any clarification asked by the department, then we have to provide these data to them. So we can tell them that we have issued the Form 16 on this date, and we have sent an email also to all the employees. I think there is no more questions from anyone. I think we can close our webinar. Thank you for your valuable time. Thank you so much. Thank you, Nivetha, for this for organizing this webinar to everyone.